A Christmas craze for the history books, born out of a Cabbage Patch 40 years ago.
In 1983, Barbenscher fabric doll with a stitched face and adoption certificate triggered riots that made Black Friday look civilized. Adults hospitalized each other, stores deployed security teams, the National Guard was put on standby. This is the story of Cabbage Patch Kids, the dolls that didn't just sell out. They turned ordinary parents into violent mobs willing to destroy anyone who stood between them and a $25 adoption certificate. But before we dive into the carnage and hit that subscribe button, this channel uncovers the consumer madness history tried to forget. The Cabbage Patch Kids story begins in 1976 with a 21-year-old art student named Xavier Roberts in the mountains of Georgia. He didn't set out to create a billion-dollar empire. He stumbled into it by accident. Roberts discovered an obscure German quilting technique called needle molding, a method for creating soft sculpture faces that looked unsettlingly realistic. He started making fabric dolls by hand, each one unique, each one slightly creepy with its round face and dead-eyed stare. But here's where it gets weird. Roberts didn't sell these dolls. He put them up for adoption. He opened a store in Cleveland, Georgia, called Babyland General Hospital. It was designed like an actual hospital, complete with a nursery. The dolls weren't on shelves. They were in cribs. Employees wore nurse uniforms. And if you wanted one, you didn't buy it. You adopted it. Each doll came with an adoption certificate, a birth certificate, and adoption papers you had to sign. You weren't a customer. You were a parent. This psychological manipulation was brilliant. These weren't toys. They were babies. And rejecting a baby, that's monstrous. By 1982, Roberts' handmade dolls had developed a cult following. Each one sold for $125, serious money in 1982. But production was limited. He could only make so many by hand. Enter Coleco Industries, a toy manufacturer looking for their next hit after dominating the video game market with ColecoVision. They saw the adoption gimmick and recognized gold. In 1983, Coleco licensed the concept, renamed them Cabbage Patch Kids, and prepared for a standard toy launch. Retail price, $25. Production target, a few million units for the holiday season. They had no idea what they were about to unleash. Coleco's marketing campaign was devastatingly effective. The ads didn't sell dolls, they sold parenthood. Cabbage Patch Kids are special. Each one is different. Each one needs a home. Will you adopt one? The message was clear. If you don't get your child a Cabbage Patch Kid, you're denying them the chance to be a parent. You're the bad guy. And then came the killer move, scarcity. Whether intentional or accidental, Coleco couldn't manufacture enough dolls. Demand exploded beyond anyone's projections. By October 1983, stores couldn't keep them in stock. And that's when America lost its mind. Black Friday, 1983 wasn't just about deals, it was about survival. When a Zayre store in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania announced a Cabbage Patch shipment, over 1,000 people showed up. The crowd broke through the doors before the store opened. Employees were trampled, shelves were destroyed, fistfights broke out in the aisles. The local newspaper described it as resembling a town under siege. A woman in Wisconsin suffered a broken leg when a crowd surged toward a pallet of dolls. She was knocked down and crushed. She still bought 2 dolls from the hospital bed. In Charleston, West Virginia, a store manager desperate to maintain order made shoppers line up. He then threw the dolls into the crowd like he was feeding sharks. People dove over each other. Blood was drawn. A Kansas City store hired extra security and created a lottery system. It didn't matter. When they wheeled out the dolls, the crowd rushed the guards. The lottery tickets were ripped from people's hands. Since at a Hills department store in Pittsburgh, so many people crammed into the toy section that the floor started to crack. Structural engineers had to be called in. The store was evacuated for safety inspections. This wasn't shopping, this was warfare. When stores failed, parents turned to the black market, and that market was vicious. Cabbage Patch Kids had a retail price of $25. By mid-November, they were selling for $75, $100, $150. By early December, some were going for $500 or more. Classified ads read like hostage negotiations. Have Cabbage Patch. Will trade for washer/dryer. Desperate mother needs Cabbage Patch. Will pay anything. Smuggling operations emerged. people flew to London and Canada where dolls were still available, stuffing suitcases with as many as they could carry. U.S. Customs agents reported passengers declaring 27 Cabbage Patch Kids on entry forms. One man in Texas ran a full operation. He hired people to fly to Europe, buy dolls in bulk, and return to sell them for 400% markup. He made over $50,000 in 6 weeks. Counterfeits flooded the market. Cheap knockoffs with misspelled certificates, wrong colors, poorly stitched faces. Parents bought them anyway, hoping their kids wouldn't notice. They always noticed. So why did Cabbage Patch Kids trigger this specific insanity? First, the adoption narrative. These weren't toys you bought. They were children you rescued. Rejecting one felt morally wrong. Not getting one for your kid, you were denying them the chance to nurture, to care, to love. The guilt was unbearable. Second, individuality. Every doll was unique. Eye color, hair color, outfits, all different. This meant you couldn't just get a Cabbage Patch Kid. You had to find the right one. The stakes were higher. Third, media amplification. Every news story about the shortage made more parents panic. If you didn't have one yet, you were already behind. The frenzy fed itself. Fourth, 1980s parental anxiety. The decade saw a massive rise in dual-income households. Parents worked longer hours, spent less time with kids. Toys became emotional proxies. Getting the right gift proved you were still a good parent despite the guilt. And fifth, scarcity as social currency. Having a Cabbage Patch Kid became a status symbol. Your kid had one, you won, your kid didn't. You failed Christmas. It was a perfect psychological storm. The violence escalated beyond broken shelves and bruised egos. A woman in Florida pulled a gun on another shopper who grabbed the last doll. She didn't fire, but she made her point. She got the doll. In Massachusetts, a store manager was punched in the face when he announced they'd sold out. His jaw was fractured. Bomb threats were called into stores rumored to have shipments. Most were hoaxes from desperate parents trying to clear the competition. Security footage from a New York Toys R Us showed a woman hitting another woman with her purse, then stomping on her hand to make her release a doll. The doll's head ripped off in the struggle. Both women cried. The media covered it like a natural disaster. Talk shows debated what it meant about American values. Psychologists analyzed the mass hysteria. Churches held sermons about materialism, and through it all, the dolls kept selling. Coleco was overwhelmed. They'd projected selling 3 million dolls. By November, demand was at 20 million and climbing. They ran factories 24/7. They airlifted emergency shipments from overseas. They hired additional manufacturers. None of it was enough. Company president Arnold Greenberg appeared on national TV to apologize and promise more dolls. It didn't help. Parents didn't want apologies. They wanted dolls. Coleco delivery trucks were followed from warehouses. When they stopped at stores, crowds would ambush them before employees could unload. Drivers started requiring police escorts. Some stores stopped announcing shipments entirely. They'd put dolls out randomly, hoping to avoid riots. It didn't work. Somebody always saw, and within minutes, chaos erupted. By Christmas 1983, Coleco had manufactured and sold over 3 million Cabbage Patch Kids. They'd also created a nationwide trauma that would define a generation's memory of the holidays. December the 25th, 1983 arrived. Millions of children woke up to find a Cabbage Patch Kid under the tree. Millions more didn't. Parents who'd failed gave "I owe us" handwritten certificates, promising the doll would come later. Some wrapped empty boxes with notes inside. Some gave knockoffs and prayed their kids wouldn't care. The disappointment was crushing. Children cried. Parents felt like failures. Psychologists reported an uptick in parental guilt calls to hotlines. And the parents who had succeeded? Many were injured, broke, or traumatized. They'd paid obscene amounts, fought strangers, or camped outside stores for days in freezing weather. One mother, interviewed by the New York Times, admitted she'd spent $300 on a doll her daughter forgot about by February. Was it worth it? Nobody seemed sure. By mid-1984, Coleco had finally caught up with demand. Stores were fully stocked. The riots stopped. And suddenly, nobody cared anymore. The scarcity had created the value. Once dolls were available, the mystique died. Sales continued strong through the mid-'80s, but the mania was gone. Parents had moved on. Kids wanted the next thing. Coleco went bankrupt in 1988, not because of Cabbage Patch Kids, but because they'd bet everything on the fad continuing forever. It did it. But the Cabbage Patch playbook survived. Every major toy craze since has followed the same formula: manufactured scarcity, emotional manipulation, media frenzy, parental guilt. We saw it with Tickle Me Elmo in 1996, with Hatchimals in 2016, with PlayStation 5s in 2020. Each time we swear it won't happen again. Each time it does. Today, original 1983 Cabbage Patch Kids are collectibles, though they're worth maybe $50 to $200 depending on condition. Nowhere near the $500 plus people paid during the craze. Most sit in storage, forgotten relics of a moment when America went collectively insane over fabric dolls with stitched faces. But for those who lived through it, the parents who fought in aisles, the kids who never got their doll, the store workers who got trampled, Cabbage Patch Kids represent something darker. They proved that with the right marketing, the right scarcity, and the right cultural moment, you can make people abandon every civilized instinct they have, all for a $25 doll. Visual closing shot of Cabbage Patch Kid with dead-eyed stare. So next time you see a toy craze building on social media, remember Cabbage Patch Kids. Remember the riots, the broken bones, the bomb threats, the guns. And ask yourself, is any toy really worth becoming that person? If you enjoyed this descent into consumer madness, subscribe for more forgotten stories of the crazes that defined us. Hit that like button. It genuinely helps. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go check if my childhood Cabbage Patch Kid is worth anything. Spoiler, it's not.